जी हाँ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਸੋਚ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਕਾਲੀਰਾਏ। ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇਤੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਲਈ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ। ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੀਆਂ ਚੋਣਾਂ ਨਵੰਬਰ 5 ਨੂੰ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਇਸ ਸਾਲ। ਕਾਫੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਔਰ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਕਈ ਸੈਨੇਟਰ ਵੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਖੜੇ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਹਰੇਕ ਰਿਆਸਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਲੋਕਲ ਅਸੈਂਬਲੀ ਦੇ ਔਰ ਸੈਨੇਟ ਦੇ ਔਰ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਸ। ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਅਲੀਸ਼ਾ ਡੇਵਿਸ। ਇਹ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਮੇਅਰ ਦੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਟ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਦੇ। ਆਓ ਮਿਲੀਏ ਅਲੀਸ਼ਾ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਨਾਲ। Welcome, Alicia, to Ajkal America. I just gave a brief intro in Punjabi to the viewers, but I'd like you to give us an introduction on Alicia, the candidate for mayor in the city of Tracy.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor and a privilege to join you and to talk about my platform and vision for the city of Tracy as its next mayor. I'm a longtime Tracy resident. I've lived in Tracy for 2 decades. I raised 4 adult children there. I taught preschool for about 20 years there, so I'm very familiar with the family values in the city of Tracy. I'm a strong public safety advocate, been advocating for many years as a community liaison for the Tracy Police Department under former Chief Esquivel, and I headed the National Night Out along with Paula Bach and a couple of other members of the National Night Out for Edgewood team. And for many years, we've all been about public safety. We've been about quality of life issues, and we've been about bringing good, solid, responsible infrastructure to Tracy. And we've also been about bringing amenities, family-friendly amenities to the city of Tracy for its children and families. And so pretty much my platform is about growing the city of Tracy in a safe, responsible way that holds on to the family values that we all care about, keeping our children and families safe and ensuring that there's an opportunity for all of us to thrive, all residents, all businesses, making it a pro family friendly and pro business and pro safety community.
Well, thank you on that, Alicia. You brought up a few interesting topics which are dear to many residents, and not only in Tracy, but every other community. You bring up family values, you bring up safety in the city, and it's no question that people want to move and live in places where there's good schools, where there's safe neighborhoods, and simply stated, the way you can go to the local retail outlets and shop in peace. But on that note, in the recent years that we've experienced a lot of retail theft, and we've had sort
Yes.
of mobs walking into stores. We've had local retailers where people have just walked in and taken whatever they feel like taking. If you may remember, a couple of, I think it was about a year and a half or so ago in Stockton, there was a case where an individual walked into a 7-Eleven. So most cities, they have small businesses, whether it be the 7-Elevens, the liquor stores, the convenience stores, and the mom and pop donut shops, mom and pop stores for various knickknacks that we want to buy. What could you, as a mayor, look towards doing in your first term of office to help the citizens of Tracy feel safer while they're going out and about to the parks? They're taking their kids out to play ball in the evenings. And as we have it right now, in a few weeks, Halloween's coming, and it's going to get darker in the evenings. But when you're walking your kids, you want to feel safe. So what would Mayor Davis do, working with the city police, to make the residents feel comfortable they could go out 7 o'clock and feel safe and take their kids to the ball game and all that stuff?
Thank you for that question. Well, the very first thing that I would do as mayor is to assure the citizens of Tracy that I will adopt a zero policy tolerance for criminal and nuisance activity in the city. I am a strong proponent of allowing our police officers to enforce the laws. That includes our local ordinances, as I've done with the park ordinances, with the sensitive use policy, ensuring that no one can camp in our parks or commit any types of crime in our parks that threaten the safety of our youth and our greater community. So I will continue to push for that kind of culture in our police department and for that expectation in our city. We'll use technology in any way that we can to help give that sense of peace within the community. So I'm a proponent of putting cameras in every single park in the city of Tracy. We've already invested in Flock system, which tracks license plates to let us know when we've got some bad actors in our community. I also, as mayor, right now as mayor pro tem, I stand behind our county board of supervisors and our district attorney's office to support Prop 36, which repeals many parts of Prop 47, which has enabled criminals throughout the state of California to get away with these organized retail theft that we've seen across this state. And so I will continue to support smart policies at the state level, and certainly at the local level, continue to support policies that lets criminals know that City of Tracy is not the place to come and do crime. We will be the safest community in San Joaquin County because our police officers will be proactive. We will be vigilant about patrolling our community, but also we will definitely enforce our laws, and we will prosecute any criminal in someone that commits a crime within the city of Tracy. We will be tough on crime, period.
I appreciate that, and I personally am excited with that response of having a strong response to any sort of crime. I'm going to reflect back on a few years ago. Your relationship with the DA of San Joaquin County, and the city of Tracy becomes very critical. There's a need for it to be strong and trustworthy, because a county just down the road from you, Contra Costa, when we were having this wave of crimes in 2020, I recall that the DA of Contra Costa put out a statement saying they're not going to prosecute certain crimes, and in many cases, they were going to have to prove that these people did not need what they took. Now, if it's a loaf of bread, if it's a box of donuts, if it's a sandwich from the refrigerator at the local Walmart, I can understand that. Maybe as a low-income, homeless individual, there is a need for a sandwich or some donut because I need to get some food. But it does not make sense for somebody to go into Best Buy and walk out with a 65-inch screen TV costing about $1,000 or just under the $850 limit. And then the arresting police officer has to explain that this person did not need that TV. So what I'd like to ask you is, how strong and how trustworthy would that relationship between the prosecutor, the DA in San Joaquin County, and the Tracy PD and the Tracy Council, so that people can feel confident that if you arrest me for doing something silly like that, I will get prosecuted?
Well, I am very proud of the work that our District Attorney Ron Freitas has done since taking office. He has a very no-nonsense, tough approach to crime. I personally work, and our city works very well with DA Freitas. He's been very proactive, and he's given me counsel on making sure our police officers feel comfortable enforcing our laws and our ordinances here in the city of Tracy regarding encampments and homelessness. So I'm very confident, particularly in his ability to back us up when we have any kinds of issues, as he's done, especially when it comes to organized retail theft. And was here not even a week ago at Southside Community Organization, speaking with Supervisor Rickman to the organization's residents about how he wants them to support Prop 36 to ensure that not just our community, but every in San Joaquin County knows that there will be prosecution to protect our small to protect our small and our largest. And we all know that small businesses are the backbone of every community. They're the backbone of America, in fact. And so we can't afford to be soft on crime. And while I do have some level of compassion for those who are who go without, and particularly food, there's far too many resources for there to be an excuse to steal from hardworking people who are just trying to make it themselves. There's a tough national economy right now. That economy is also impacting us locally. So businesses are already struggling, and so I don't accept that there's no alternative to stealing. I believe that if you're hungry, there's many churches, there's many organizations who do that great work in communities throughout this county. And so I stand by our district attorney and our police officers to the laws equally, regardless of housing status, regardless of socioeconomic status. There's too many resources for anyone to steal and use that and use hunger as an excuse. We have resources to support those people. So I want to stand by our small businesses and all of our businesses, that we're going to support them to ensure that they thrive, and we're not going to coddle any particular. We're going to ensure that we enforce and we're going to give our DA, we're going to stand by our DA to do that.
And thank you for that. And I think as a citizen of any city, that's the type of city many people want to live in. That's one I would choose. One of the statements you just made earlier was installing various security features around the city of Tracy. You've got license readers already installed. There's a cost factor there. And as mayor and somebody who has control of the city budget and trying to make life affordable for the residents of this Tracy, there's some ways that you can impact local taxes. There's some ways that you really have no control over it. But some of the direct taxes that are coming into the city of Tracy, whether it be sales tax, whether it be a contribution from property taxes, or whatever component that the city gets, if you're spending these funds, how can I, as a resident of Tracy, be sure that my property taxes or my sales tax is not going to go up come the next budget cycle?
Well, that's a great question. Well, first, I'll tell you that your property tax, that will be decided at the county level. That would certainly not be decided at the local level. But when it comes to business taxes, that is within the purview of the council, and we've recently had that discussion. And I recently sat down with the chamber and the Tracy Chamber of Commerce, the larger business owners who were negatively impacted by the Measure B. And the Measure B tax was something that was championed by my opponent, Councilmember Areola, and former Mayor Pro Tem Vargas. And what we found out was, even though they said it would bring equity to small businesses and larger businesses would pay their fair share of tax, what we found out was that the initiative didn't quite work out the way that it was explained to the council. And so that tax, I'm a low taxation person. I believe in low taxes and less regulation. It helps drive a healthy economy. And so there would be, on my end, there wouldn't be any suggestions of increasing taxes or any additional taxes. I believe you have to do well with what you have. You have to be prudent. You have to plan well. And you also have to create an economy that businesses want to come to the city of Tracy, which will help solidify your tax base. And so you don't have to overtax to generate revenue. What you have to do is plan, and you have to create incentives for existing businesses, and you have to create incentives to attract businesses so that you have the revenue necessary to ensure that you have a safe community, that you can provide the resources to your police department, your fire department. You can build the amenities that many of us would like to see built here for our children, so you can get the the additional cameras in the parks. I would never, ever in a million years suggest increasing the taxes to accomplish these things when all we need to do as a city is to plan. We plan and we appropriate appropriately. We fund and allocate funds appropriately where it's most needed. The number one responsibility of government is to ensure that its community is safe, its citizens is safe. That's number one before anything else. And so funding needs to be allocated for that particular purpose more before. We need to make sure we're a safe community. And then after that, everything else will fall into place. So no new taxes, better planning, less regulation so that we all thrive.
We talked about safety, we talked about taxes. All of those features, in my view, personally, are something that if I was looking to buy a house, those were some of the features I'd be looking at. And my own experience, 36 years ago, when I moved from England and I was thinking of buying a house, I actually met with a CHP officer who gave me a ticket, but he also told me the features that I need to look at for when moving into a certain community. And one of those was walk the city at night, various times of the day, various days of the week, and also buy the newspaper, not on the weekend, but on a Tuesday, because according to him, that's when all the crime stats came out. So I could pick a neighborhood which had the lower numbers. You've addressed everything that would make Tracy a feature that I would be looking at if I was looking for a house like I was 35 years ago. The other piece of the role of city council and mayor would be to the service, looking at the services and the housing costs. There are some components that the city has an interest in or control over. And one of those is the permits, the filing fees, and when a developer comes in, they want to build commercial or residential properties, they have certain requirements to meet. Some of those are necessary, from safety factors, amenities, the quality of housing that we want in our areas. But there are some costs that are required to be paid, but they're variable. And it really depends what the city wants. And some of the features are delays. Having talked to builders over the time, they complain about buying a lot and not being able to break ground for a few years. And that adds to their cost. So Eleassia Davis comes in as mayor post-November election. What could Eleassia direct the city departments to do to make it easier for builders to start building and to make housing affordable as far as the city is concerned in controlling, reducing, limiting its charges on the construction process? Because when I come to buy that house, some of the factors of the price I pay is the cost that the builder has to pay.
Sure,
So how are you
absolutely.
going
So
to house cheaper for me?
yeah, so that's a great question. And so one of the biggest complaints I get is just about how cumbersome it is to do business in the city of Tracy, not just on the building side, but just in general. The first thing that I would do as mayor is sit down with our city manager and talk about how we're going to overhaul the whole building and planning department, because as we know, housing is a factor in the state of California. There's a housing shortage. There's RENA mandates that's saying that no matter what, we have to build enough housing, and many of those houses have to be affordable. So how do we as a city make affordable housing in the city of Tracy? Well, what is in our purview is our permitting process and how much we charge for those process. I would be willing to sit down with the city manager and whoever else has expertise in this area about how can we create a partnership that brings balance to both the city and to our developer partners, so that we aren't overcharging, we aren't creating unnecessary barriers to building the housing that we are required to build as a city under the RENA. So that's step number one. Number two, I believe in streamlining the processes within the city just altogether. It takes too long to get any business started. It should not be that you go into City Hall today and then you don't get to break ground until 3 years later or 2 years later, or you get to open your business doors until a year or two later. That's not the way that I intend for the city to do business. Right now, we're competing with our neighbors in Manteca and Lathrop, and big shout out to Mayor Dhaliwal and Mayor Singh. I really admire those guys. What I take away from those gentlemen is that they have decided to be a pro business community. That means making sure that it's easy to do business, that it's not very expensive to open a business, and there's no barriers like we are facing today. So we're going to sit down as a city and we're going to discuss how to remove some of those barriers, how to soften some of those barriers, and how to become a more efficient, more friendly city, prioritizing efficiency and friendliness. Customer service is huge. And so I've heard the complaints in my 3.5 years here on the council. Become a pro business friendly city. We'll keep taxes low. We will streamline our processes, and we will make sure that it doesn't take more than 30, maximum 90 days to get through the business, a new business establishment process. And it might be a little bit different with housing, but I do want to sit down and talk about how we can come together with our developers, look at these permittings, and whatever is within the law that we're able to do. Then that's a conversation that I'm willing to have to bring those prices down so that we can help our residents to some degree obtain affordable housing. A lot of the affordable housing factors, though, it is at the state level, and so I encourage people to differently when you're looking at your state leadership. Make sure you do the research. But there's some other things that can be done with CEQA that would help streamline processes for all of us at the city levels, at cities across California. CEQA is a very expensive, cumbersome process that adds time and additional cost to any housing project in any city. So it's not just the city of Tracy in that respect. However, what the city can do, I'm open to doing, in addition to partnering with nonprofits who specialize in affordable housing. I think that's something that our city should look at how we can partner to help, our veterans and, maybe single moms, teachers, public safety, individuals who work hard that could use housing, but they're just missing the mark on the affordability side because California is an expensive market, and with Tracy being so close to the Bay Area, our costs are going up. So let's look at ways to shave off some of those costs, and to help those folks that are in the position to be first-time home buyers or in the rental market, but they just need that little extra support. We're going to have those comments first day.
And again, thank you on that, Eleassia. You brought up a few other topics, education, teachers, veterans, and I know that you're a veteran yourself, so thank you for your service. You're also an educator. And on that note, one of the features we've talked about, family values and raising families in any city, the education that our children are going to get, quality of schools and neighborhoods and recreational abilities, soccer, baseball, all of those features come together to provide a quality of life, a quality of education, and ability to excel in sports of choice. What partnership could you, as an experienced educator and a city official, build with the school district and collaborate on projects that would help it be easier for young parents to hold down a job and take their kids to school, preschool activities, post school activities, because we know that when you go to work, and especially with Tracy and the closeness to the Bay Area, many of Tracy's residents, they actually work in the Bay Area, or they work along west on 205 or 508. And that commute is not easy. You could be getting off work at 5 o'clock, but you may not get home until 7. And if you have a young kid who just got out of second grade, fifth grade, you want to make sure that that kid, while maybe in a situation of being a latchkey kid, has some features that the city provides where I know my kid is going to be taken care of. I know my kid has services, homework assistance, and something that I can feel comfortable with knowing my kid is safe. And one thing that would make me feel safe is if it's a sanctioned service from the city or the school district, and it may be in the local school after school program, but the confidence that the people running that I can depend on. So I'm sure there's programs already that exist, but what would Mayor Eleassia Davis do to make them better and more available to allow families to work, provide for their family, and feel comfortable that this is the city they want to raise their kids in?
Thank you for that question. Well, the first thing I think as a parent is the paramount to any parent is ensuring that your children are safe. Having raised 4 kids here of my own, that was always at the top of mind. And it's one of the reasons that I personally chose to stay home and provide preschool and daycare services for other parents, because I know that they were in that exact position. You have to work. And in the meantime, you want to ensure that your children are getting the proper care and the proper love and nurturing that all children deserve. What the city can do is continue to build upon its relationship with the school district, build upon its relationship with the Boys and Girls Club, who does a phenomenal job here in the city of Tracy and throughout the United States. Our Boys and Girls Club here has expanded. Just about nearly every school has that. But one of the things I do recognize is that it's been primarily based on income. We might be able to have a conversation about extending that service to all students who are latchkey eligible parents. Like you mentioned, they are not getting home into the city of Tracy until 7. So we want to make sure that just because your child may come from a family that has a little bit more financial discretionary funds, that child has an opportunity to go into a safe environment that is sanctioned by a large organization like the City of Tracy or like the Boys and Girls Club, who is renowned throughout the United States. I was a product of Boys and Girls Club. And my children also attended the Boys and Girls Club right here in Tracy. So I can tell you that it's a great program that I think every student, regardless of parental income, should have access to. On top of that, we have phenomenal programs at the Grand. I think that as we could expand on that program, the programs there, by creating more after school programs, get up to private sector to partner with the Grand to provide services at some of the available spaces that we have there. Also working with some of the school districts that do not have some of the districts that do not have Boys and Club or similar clubs, offering the opportunity for them to expand into those schools. Jefferson School District, New Jerusalem, Delta Charter, and schools like that, who may not necessarily have the same opportunities as the schools in TUSD. And also, one of the greater issues is the fact that we don't have enough head of household jobs here. So apart from the fact that we can bring more after school programs, we need to find out how to bring jobs on this side of the Altamont that will allow parents to be working closer to home. And in addition to that, we have to do a very large marketing campaign for our city. First, clean up our city to make it more attractive for larger companies to want to come here, like Cisco, like Meta. Those companies, there's a home for them here, but we have to prepare home for people to seriously consider us. And so that's another way to keep parents close to home and make sure that their children are safe, because they're able to take care of them themselves. If you work in your city, then your commute is not 2 hours. Now it's just 15 or 20 minutes, and you can provide after school care to your own children. That's what most parents really want. They want to be there for their children themselves. In addition to that, for the parents who are sitting in that daily grind and commute, we want to support the ability of Valley Link to actually get built. I've been a proponent of Valley Link for a long time. When we first heard about Valley Link, I used to go to the meetings in Livermore to support. I still strongly support alternative modes of transportation. Right now, we have the ACE train, which is great, but it's not enough. It doesn't have it running. So we want to have conversations about getting more trains running out there, but also making sure we're going to Washington, D.C., working with our congressmen and fighting for those dollars that we need to actually build the Valley Link, so that we have that connection between Livermore and San Joaquin County, so that it hits Mountain House, it hits Tracy, it hits Manday-Thrupp, Stockton, and eventually gets out to Stanislaus County and Modesto out there with Supervisor Great Wall. So, we want to see parents have these opportunities, and I've been working as Mayor Pro Tem to support any way that I can for children and parents to spend more quality time with each other by being supportive of the ideas like Valley Link, and being a very long time supporter of the Boys and Girls Club, and doing what I can do as a citizen to ensure that those things are available to students throughout our community. And I would like to continue to see that happen regardless of income status. And that's a conversation that I'm willing to have, in addition to putting more programs in place at the Grand, which is something the city has full control over.
And again, thank you for that. And there's a lot of input and contribution that the city can make, as you've mentioned. And being somebody who's got a first-hand experience from a young age, being part of that and knowing how the services work and the quality of those services, having received them yourself, that is a very valuable set of knowledge and experience. So I appreciate that. And generally, I don't live in Tracy, but if I was there, I would be looking forward to those improvement services coming up. And you brought up the search for bringing more jobs into Tracy by encouraging those employer category businesses to make Tracy a hub or a home. So some of these families, parents, the working component of any family, they don't have to travel so far. So those would be good features. We've experienced remote work, result of COVID, but now that we're having a push backwards, people needing to go back to the office. And while we have this hybrid situation right now, I'm not sure that it would last that long, but I think there's a way that you and your fellow council members could talk to the Metas and the Googles and see if they could establish localized hubs where it may be that sort of your neighboring cities could come there too and reduce the commute. So I like the ideas. I hope they come to fruition. But I'm not in the working employment market anyway, so but that's a different story. But I was an educator, so I appreciate having actually talked to a fellow educator. I wish you the best of luck. But for the last few minutes we have, I'd like you to share how residents of Tracy could reach out, make contact with Eleassia, have discussions more than what we've just had. But if I'm a resident of Tracy, how could I reach out and have a discussion with you and what you envision for Tracy and what maybe I have thoughts about?
Sure. Well, thank you for that question. I consider, as serving as the Mayor Pro Tem for the city of Tracy, of course, if you have questions about that I can answer official capacity, you can always go to the City of Tracy's website, cityoftracy.org, and you can reach me there. And there's a direct contact number for all the city council members, and a direct email that way. With regard to my campaign, you can contact me through davisformayor.com, or you can email me at info@davis4tracy.com. You can also contact me at 209-841-0296. And you're welcome to text me or call me on that phone number. It's my official campaign number. Once again, that's 209-841-0296. Thank you.
And thank you, Eleassia, and look forward to having another discussion with you post-election. But I personally have enjoyed this discussion. What I've heard is something I would like if I was a resident of Tracy. I'm not, but it may be some place I'd move to in the next year or a couple of years, because it's way better than where I'm currently residing. But we'll keep that out of the discussion. But wish you the best and look forward to talking with you again. And thank you for your time and all the best. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਸਾਂਝੀ ਸੋਚ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੇ। ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਇੰਦਰਜੀਤ ਕਾਲੀਰਾਏ। ਆਪਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਅਲੀਸ਼ਾ ਡੇਵਿਸ ਨਾਲ। ਇਹ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਟ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਲਈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਖਿਆਲਾਤ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਸੁਣੇ ਨੇ, ਪਸੰਦ ਆਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਵੋ। ਇਹ ਮੇਅਰ ਬਣ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟ੍ਰੇਸੀ ਦੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੋਚ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਇੰਪਰੂਵਮੈਂਟਸ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ। ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਦੇਵੋ, ਮਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਅਗਲੀ ਵਾਰੀ।